So, hi everybody. I know that I haven't made a video in quite a while, but I have with me tonight Johan Erasmus, and he is the arms dealer that I'm pretty sure that everyone in South Africa knows about, but there are just a lot of components to his story that affect all of South Africa and not just him. So I wanted to have him come on and speak about these things to reveal the level of corruption and the links that these people, officials, police, anyone will go to get what they want or to silence anyone speaking against them. So I will start out by saying thank you so much, Johan, for coming and speaking with me. I appreciate it very much. And tell us a little about your background, what business you operated in, the scale of your operations, the length of time you spent in this business, and some of the things you were involved in.
Hi, Brandy. Thanks very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to keep on talking to you. There's a lot of arguments about my background, but I'm the only one who knows it. Okay? I was in the military way back in the late 70s. I got my rank, and then me and ex-Engelbrecht, Major ex-Engelbrecht, who's now passed away, my friend, we built the first diesels into the mine-resistant vehicles at the time, the EPOs. For the simple reason, diesel doesn't burn in a landmine explosion. It's no use surviving a landmine explosion and picking up third-degree burns for the rest of your life. It's not a way to live. We got court-martialed because we did not ask permission. Eventually it turned out at the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that Uwe Paschke, the son-in-law of P.W. Botha at the time, complained that we did not go through him. Look, we cannibalized the Cook's trucks because they had diesels, and when they gave me a hard time, I gave them Land Rovers. And then when they gave me a harder time, I lined them up for PT and gave them each 100-pound gas cylinder in the sand to run with. Believe me, they learned very fast. In any case, the court-martial was withdrawn by Brigadier Katlikenberg, but our promotions were held back for 2 years. So I subsequently went to Stellenbosch, the University of Stellenbosch, to study theology. I majored in anthropology and development administration. I had a whale of a time. My last year, I had 10 hours of classes a week, and I did all my exams my last year by doing orals. I didn't even write. So I was extremely fit at the time. Then Intelligence Service recruited me at the time. I went to work for them. They sent me abroad. I studied French. And I ended up working in Mobutu Sese Seko Kuku Zambanga's office in Kinshasa, Zaire, and this was in September 85, me and my wife went there. Those were indeed the best years of our lives. You know, the most embarrassing was to me when you're going into the city where all the black people live, and people of 70 years stand up and they give the chairs to me, a youngster of under 30 years. It was very humbling. Can tell you that.
And that's in Zaire?
You must remember, when the Congo. Yeah, I'm listening.
Just ask me, is this like while you were?
You must remember, when this is why you must understand the Congo, DRC, when we became independent in the 1960s. When the Belgians withdrew en masse, there was only one black doctor in the country. So when you look at colonialism, apartheid and colonialism was one and the same. That is the big thing. In any case, Peter doesn't matter. So I worked in Mobutu's office. I mean, 1 January 1988, I got to know about 707s coming in from St. Lucia in the Bahamas, around the Bahamas, carrying weapons for Savimbi, including Stinger missiles. The CIA and I had a good relation at the time until I told them what was happening. It ended up in Pretoria. Pretoria responded back to the CIA. There was a network of spies inside the intelligence service itself. I picked it up, and interestingly enough, all contact was broken with me. The problem with South Africa is I was on the various stages. I was also acting Commando 101 Battalion at Enana, some 6 months before Fanamesh was lifted by SWAPO. He met his friend Ferreira. Ferreira was, people don't know this, but Ferreira was killed. Oh, I can't remember how many bayonet marks he had on his body. And he was shot with a machine gun up to bottom, bottom to up. In any case, I had a whale of a time, as I said, in Zaire. I was very much involved in the peace process by arranging everything on the ground. P.W. Botha came to see me in October of 1988. Once I spoke to him for about a half an hour. He was on his way to Guadeloupe to go and see Mobutu. The problem that I found, remember, in South Africa we were never exposed to realities, even until today.
Right, I've noticed that.
Yeah.
People don't get a lot of outside information. Still.
Yeah, but that's because the press is being manipulated.
Yeah.
I will get to that in a bit later. But the big thing is then I started questioning a lot of things. And I also wrote reports saying release Mandela unconditionally. This is 1988. Now, the National Party was having its own internal power struggles. You must remember, in 1902, after the Boer War, Cecil John Rhodes, it's reported, was riding over the Free State flats with the family of Paul Sauer and Paul Sauer himself, buying up farming rights. Now, when you go back to 1899, Dion Basson, who passed away of lung problems by smoking too much, wrote about this. Paul Kruger's own family helped themselves to 500,000 British pounds. This is 1899, which were parked in British banks. It's never been repaid until today. You must also remember that only the Auslanders, the foreigners, and the mines were paying taxes. A situation which ran into the 90s, where certain companies close to the National Party had always been treated in a preferential manner, even today, under the ANC. So the whole situation is, Zaire was a steep learning curve. I studied in France prior to going to Zaire. We came back to South Africa. I landed in the beginning of January and I left intelligence service on a 24-hour notice. Because with the Rubicon speech, I was severely embarrassed because the letter sent the night before by courier to Mobutu Sese Seko stating that the next day apartheid would be denounced. Me and the courier had a big argument because he did not want to give me a copy of the letter. In any case, in my view, apartheid could never have existed for more than 10 years because it would have been a consolidatory net situation. And it's always been about finances. Finances for people. People making money out of the system. The Botas, the Brands, the Fouries, the Schoemans. I can name them on and on. And don't forget the Ruperts and don't forget the Oppenheimers. It's a convoluted, how do you want to say that? Network. In any case, be that as it might. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for, you'll be able to edit it. So, the situation is, any case, I got involved in municipal finances in the 90s, mid-90s, until 2009. And I saw Trevor Manuel, the Minister of Finance at the time, was playing dirty tricks on the municipalities. In the end, 1985, RSC levies. He did not repeal the law, only the payment of the levies, which left the municipalities with some 8 billion rand going missing annually at that stage. Now we're talking 2006 to 2009. Trevor Manuel is running with Thabo Mbeki. Well, I will discuss these issues a bit later. Just to come back to where I come from. So in 2009, Ivan Monseiur and I had already started delivering pistols to the city of Joburg and to the city of Tshwane, Pretoria, as well as ammunition, because Ivan was doing reloading. Yeah?
For everyone that doesn't know, Ivan,
I'm listening.
For anyone who doesn't know, Ivan was your partner and your friend.
Correct. Ivan Monseiur was a brilliant guy, could speak many languages. He was a tremendous shot. The problem with Ivan was, Ivan as a youngster was doing national service in Belgium, where he stood guard at a facility, military facility, on a 24-hour standby. One thing is when you're a shooter, you must learn to count how many shots you fire from your magazine, and you must have magazines on you. And this is how Ivan eventually was assassinated on the 2nd of June 2009. And I will address this issue a bit later on, because there's many things to be addressed. Be that as it may. In September 2010, we as NGAM, New Generation Arms Management, one attended to supply SA Special Forces with East Bloc weapons, RPGs, PKM ammunition. The problem with South Africa is a backwater country. Afghanistan itself, in 1 year, ordered 101,000 RPG missiles of one variant. I do happen to have the copy of the end user certificate. South Africa wanted 6,500 of various denominations. I mean, 101,000 to 6,500, in any case. I found a supplier was willing to supply because he could consolidate all the small orders worldwide. And then all hell broke loose. Armscor, the state procurement agency, which is run by Afrikaner criminals, because that is what they are, sabotaged us to a very large extent. In this regard, they compromised some black guys, such as Sipho Mkhwanazi. Eventually, it took him 397 days to open a letter of credit confirmed irrevocable and transferable. When we had to deliver the weapons, our landing rights on the 30th of October at Waterkloof was cancelled by Les Lombard, 30 October 2011. Thanks to the black friends, next morning 10 o'clock we landed in Polokwane Gateway and delivered the weapons into store as per the tenders. We also had a consignment of samples of our own, imported legally and fully disclosed to the state. No shenanigans. On the 3rd of November 2011, we had a demonstration at Special Forces Training School at Belmontstal. And we had some 5,000 people for the day, 500 people for the day. We even built a stadium. I will send you photos of scaffolding. And we also demonstrated the billion million from America. Then I picked up a lot of movement, very funny movement. A lot of people talking a lot of nonsense, which culminated on the 14th of March 2012. The Hawks, the Special Investigation Unit from the police, which is used for political situations, attached our weapons at Belmontstal And despite me obtaining a court order, they just carried on.
Right, they didn't care.
So eventually I got to inspect the weapons at the police in Hammanskraal, where all the stuff was in the safe, and I could see the minigun was useless as a lot of components were missing. I must say this, at the time of the confiscation, I had disposable RPGs. Grip G73, which is a mini thermobaric, RPG 22, etc., etc.
So,
The Hawks, the policemen from the Hawks, actually armed these RPGs. If it wasn't for the Chief Armor of Special Forces standing around to keep an eye on everything, there would have been quite a few of the policemen who would have died that day. In any case, so there were court cases and court cases and court cases, and I couldn't understand what the hell is going on, because the judges would always postpone and postpone and postpone. Judge P.K. van der Bijl was, the way he was looking at me in court, as if I'm prime evil. The way he was handling the things, I couldn't understand. Later, George Romanovich, the guy was assassinated on the 6th of May, 2018 in Belgrado. 2 shots in the back of the head, the same as my partner Ivan Monseiur, in the same fashion. Told me that it was because intelligence services were briefing the judges beforehand. Now this culminates in a situation of that intelligence services and defense intelligence went out of their way to destroy our lives, me and my partners. My partners are Willie Mashifane, Tex Boschel, Imelda Mulangapuma, and retired General Barney Lunks, all BEE partners. On the 10th of December 2018, I received a letter from the National Prosecuting Authority saying the following. Listen very carefully. We have decided in 2014 that there is no case for prosecution. Excuse me? There's no case for prosecution, but in 2018 you only advised me as to such.
You've already stolen.
Why?
Everything.
Well, simply because, yeah, they were stolen. Why? Even to today, my phones are tapped, all my communications are hacked, and I have to use encrypted communication facilities, as you know by now. And picking this all up, Tito Maleka told President Zuma I was going to assassinate him. This type of nonsense, thumb-sucking bullshit was emanating all over. But behind this all sat a Colonel Philip Kramer and Colonel Johan Smith. Frank Kramer is from Air Force Intelligence. He's a so-called weapons expert. I think it's because he can count how many bullets there are. Otherwise, I doubt his knowledge. He and Johan Smith has been shown to be involved in a lot of dubious transactions of stealing. And the big thing is they wanted to steal our contracts. Now, I was involved in the first consult report in 2000, me and Ivan Monseiur, when 320 rifles were exported to Jordan by the Berlin Initiative, which was actually Ivan Ishikovic from Paramount Logistics. Paramount Logistics suddenly exploded onto the scene and started buying up everybody. With $300 million, according to our calculations, parked in Cyprus, which was stolen from the South African fiscus.
Wow.
You can do a lot of things. Now, what happened was interesting. Matthew Sposa is a partner to Ivan Ishikovic, or Ivan Ishikovic. And when he started tour at the NCACC, who made all the false affidavits against us, he's today working for him. 101 is always 2. 101 is always 2. She wanted to have me arrested. Yes, I'm listening.
Dutois. Is that am I saying her name correctly?
You are saying it correctly.
I call her something else, but I won't say it on video. There was.
She's a stupid cow.
I agree. That's the nice way of putting it. But there was someone that you that you and Ivan did go to that was in the process of trying to figure all this out and trying to help you. And that was January Masalela. Is that how you say his name?
That's correct. January Masalela at the time was the chief of staff. He was Secretary of Defense. Prior to that, he was chief of staff in the Mpumalanga government under Matthew Sposa. We'll come back to Matthews later on, because Matthew is a very checkered guy, very dangerous guy, and who writes Afrikaans poetry to soft-soap the Afrikaners. Anyways, Masilela instigated the first consultancy investigation where we worked. I complained specifically about the selling of redundant ammunition, in other words, older than 20 years, which was sold to Spreewerke, Industrie Spreewerke Lieven.
Against the law, right?
Well, we came up with letters. No, it's not against the law. But what has happened is that whilst we came up with letters of credit, they were sold on open credit where they paid 2 years to pay. But the big thing is we found on the Rattle sales to Jordan, the vehicles were picked up for something like 500,000 Rand and less. Remember, at that stage, a new Rattle was costing 4.2 to 4.8 million Rand. They were sold to Jordan after a paint job for approximately 3.2 million Rand. Vanessa de Toy was fated by the partner of Ishikovic, Craig Casavides. There's lots of stories about them going to diving resorts in the Red Sea, etc., etc. In any case, the South African fiscus was robbed of massive money. Thabo Mbeki's brother, Moritz Mbeki, was part and parcel. You want to talk about corruption? Bang on. In any case, be that as it may, the guy by the name of Sam Soul from Amagungani said to me, yeah, but it's because you exposed all this. That is why this thing happened to you. Now, I said to Sam, listen, Sam, is it true that you're using cocaine and that is why the intelligence services are manipulating you? Unnecessary to say, never answered and he never got back to me again. Sam Soul is a very dubious character.
Right.
The press in South Africa is manipulated to a very large extent. Noseweek, Welsh, the editor, and his friends, because they have their own agenda.
Right.
And I've seen a couple of people in the past who are working as intelligence agents and who are manipulating the whole situation.
Right. I've read some of these.
Some of them came to see me and said, well, yeah. Some of them came to see me and said, how the hell do you know this? The Hawks called me an intelligence magnet. What does that mean? I can't connect dots.
Someone has to be, because it's not them.
No. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. Sorry.
Yes, ask.
I wanted to ask you because
No,
most
ask. I'm listening.
if they've heard of your story, you know, they've seen the picture of you with the Gatling gun, the mini Gatling gun. And this weapon was imported legally by NGAN with intent to sell to the South African Defense Force, right? They were interested in this, interested in buying it. And they couldn't have bought it from Dylan anyway. It had to come through a third party. But once everything came down and all of your weapons and everything for your business was seized, then it was a different story. You know, they were very excited that this weapon was coming in, and the story changed after that. You know, it was, no, we're not interested. And I know this weapon was not cheap. Not cheap at all. So, my question for you is, if it's not operational, you know, if they've thrown away the components, what do they want with it?
You see, Brandy, the situation is that after the demonstration, we were supposed to get an order of some 31 million guns, which would go to the Navy, which would go to the Air Force to be used on helicopters, which would go to Special Forces for use on their armored vehicles. Now, the big thing is minigun fires 6,000 rounds a minute. You're never going to use 3,000 at one burst. You're going to use it in short bursts, 3-second bursts. Okay? That doesn't mean you're going to fire 23-second bursts in a minute. What it means is you're going to fire a 3-second burst and you walk the gun in onto the target. That is how it works. What I offered them was a gun with 3 batteries, because after Black Hawk Down, where the gun was slaved to the helicopter, once the helicopter went down, the gun was dead with 8,000 rounds in a canister. Now, we would link 8,000 rounds together on a belt in a canister, which is you've got a high rate of fire. It's a fast firing gun. It's a game changer, like you can't believe.
Yeah, very
effective. Yeah. In other words, I was offering it with extra batteries, with 50,000 rounds linked, tracer ball, and I would also put armor piercing, because by putting in armor piercing, I would shoot an Abrams tank off its tracks. Believe you me, you would be devastated. You would be quite devastated. But interesting enough, it wasn't about just stealing the contract. Because until today, I mean, this is 2012, so this is today, 2019, 7 years later. There is no effort to buy guns like this for the South African Defence Force. This is a gun. It's not like a Bren machine gun or a MG or a LMG or even whatever, where you just knock it out and you let it up. This gun needs preparation prior.
Right.
It's a complicated piece of machinery.
It's considered a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, but that's why people don't understand that you need to win a war. I mean, you know, they're sitting in safety, whatever they're doing while they're sitting there, they're proclaiming that this is a weapon of mass destruction. Of course, once you use it against civilians, it becomes a weapon of mass destruction.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it, you know, in a war.
I understand. No, I understand where you come from, but what I'm saying is where they come from, the way they see things. In any case, despite I had a court order to visit the weapons from 2012, and then I got a court order in March after the company was liquidated with the liquidator. And interesting enough, in this case, the state's legal team stood up in court and said that Erasmus is from the Boerenmacht. Now, the Boerenmacht is a bunch of idiots. It is actually more a scam being run by the intelligence agencies to discredit people. And you have, I call them poor of spirit. In Afrikaans, it's called armes van gees. There's a lot of people, people sit in the bar, they talk a lot of nonsense. Now, the problem with intelligence services are they're supposed to be working on things and they're supposed to get paid, so they create situations. Like they created around us until today. And by the way, they send it worldwide. For instance, I was in March 2018 in Bahamas to meet up with some friends for some consultation. And I was detained for a day and then locked up for conspiracy or for, what do they call it? They said, they thought that I had a weapon somewhere. I don't know if it was up my arse, I don't know if I could do it with molecules in the air, whatever. But Commander Simmons arrested me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and when I got into the cells, my old friend, old crocodile, JJ, was sitting there. We walked up together. They refer to, in Elaine Shannon's book, Catching the Room, they refer to me as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, 30 minutes later, we were released. And upon our release, I said to the commander, you fucked up on the drug deal, didn't you? He said to me, how did you know? I said, because somebody had you by the shorts. He said, yes, it came from Homeland Security via the embassy report that I had to be locked up for 3 days and then to be released. Just a case of intimidation. Now, remember, in December, I get advice officially. There's no case against me since 2014.
Right, you've
so
never
my question
had charges against you. Never.
No. There's no charges against me. There never been. There's only a so-called inquiry.
Since 2011.
Now, the big thing is what transpires. I'm listening?
I said since 2011. Yet they've seized all of these things from you, stolen massive amounts of money, done everything they could, and you've never even been charged with a crime.
That's correct. It's a totally politically driven situation by criminals. Because it's from 2012, when I went to fetch my computers a few weeks back from the Hawks. They were all stuffed. I said to them, where's my documents? They gave me like 7 little boxes with documents. I said, but you guys took 30,000 documents. I said, where's the cutouts? The internet RPGs, which you could use for training. No, they never attached it. I said, bring your docket. And lo and behold, there were the photos and the reports, but it was never handed into the SAPS 13 store, where the goods were supposed to be stored. So who stole it? The biggest point was certain Captain Els from the explosive group. A very cocky little idiot who's working today for the United Nations, doing D-mine throughout Africa. I'm about to bring criminal charges against the CD. Because even if it doesn't, even if the subs, like they normally do, don't follow up. And believe me, I bought many criminal charges. I've even now bought treason charges. When I asked the Hawks, you fucked up 7 years of my life, what now? You know what they said to me? It's not our problem. It's not our problem. Now thank you for making it my problem, because I'm not vindictive. I am just seriously pissed. Believe me, I've been slandered. My business has been destroyed. Me and my partner's lives have been destroyed. My wife, my family had to take the brunt. They stole our money with the revenue services SARS. All the fake issues. And in this all, armed score plays a very prominent role. It all goes back to this white Afrikaner. I call him scum because I'm not Afrikaner. Afrikaner doesn't exist.